Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into some serious motivation?
I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. Well, today we're exploring self-discipline and habits.
Oh.
And we're going to be using this awesome interview with Sunil Chetri.
Okay.
He's the captain of the Indian national football team, and he's known for like this incredible work ethic.
Mhm.
And he's had such a long career in this super demanding sport.
Yeah. And his insights in this interview with Raj Shamani
Oh, yeah.
are applicable to basically anyone,
Right?
even if you're not into
Yeah.
sports at all.
Hmm.
His dedication and his mindset, offer like super valuable lessons, I think,
Absolutely.
for anyone looking to really achieve their full potential.
And Shamani, the interviewer, is really great
Yes.
at getting to the core of Chetri's philosophy.
Yeah. Right away, he asks him,
Right.
what does discipline mean to you?
Hmm.
And his answer is something that, I think we can all relate to.
Yeah, for sure.
He says, discipline is all about keeping the promises you make to yourself.
Yeah.
Even when, like, every fiber of your being
Oh, tell me about it.
is screaming for that extra hour of sleep
Mhm.
or that tempting slice of cake.
Ugh, or both.
Those moments when your motivation just takes a back seat.
But how does he actually do it, though? Because
Yeah.
staying disciplined is tough.
He emphasizes the importance of, like, understanding your why.
Okay.
You know, he's very clear that his training isn't just about staying fit. It's his passion.
Right.
It's his job.
Makes sense.
It's like the driving force
Yeah,
behind everything he does.
totally.
So it's so much easier to push through.
I was going to say, when you have a reason,
Yes.
it's not just
And there's a strong why behind it.
another thing on the to-do list.
It's not just another chore on your to-do list, right?
Exactly.
He actually tells this funny story in the interview
Oh, yeah.
about his friends complaining about their workouts.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, guys, this is my work.
Uh-huh, right.
You can't compare your casual gym sessions to my daily grind.
Yeah. No, that's totally different.
Having a clear purpose
Oh,
could completely change your perspective on, like, effort and discipline.
so finding your why is crucial, but what about those habits?
Yeah.
How do you build those habits?
So he talks a lot about repetition.
Oh,
He believes that if you do something consistently, for long enough,
right.
and that period, is different for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually it just becomes second nature. You don't even have to think about it.
Right.
You just do it.
Automatically.
And he even throws out this phrase, thousands of days,
Thousands of days. Oh, wow.
to really emphasize, like, how long it can take
Yeah.
to solidify a habit.
Yeah, it's serious dedication.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's been at the top of his game for over 2 decades.
Exactly. And it's something, I think we can all learn from
Yeah.
building those good habits,
Yeah.
whether it's a workout routine or, just like a focused work schedule,
Right.
takes time
Hmm.
and consistency.
Yeah, I think consistency is the hardest part.
It is. But think about how much easier things become
Yeah, that's true.
when you don't constantly have to fight yourself
Right. You're on autopilot.
to do the things that you know are good for you.
Yeah, and you don't have to think about it.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of good habits,
Yes?
Chetri shares this interesting story about quitting sugar.
Oh, yeah.
He cuts it out completely for 6 months.
6 months. That's a long time.
It's a long time.
What's really fascinating is how his mindset around sugar, like, changed
Oh, interesting.
over time.
Okay.
Initially, he planned for these monthly cheat meals
Right.
to reward himself for his discipline.
Mm-hmm.
But as the months went by,
Uh-huh.
he found that he didn't even crave
Oh, wow.
those cheat meals anymore.
Really?
His desire for sugar just naturally diminished,
Mm-hmm.
which really shows just how adaptable our bodies can be.
So his body literally adjusted
Yeah.
to not having sugar.
Yeah, and made it easier for him to stick with it.
That's incredible.
Even if you're thinking, there's no way I could give up sugar for that long,
Yeah.
this anecdote really shows that maybe you could.
Right.
And just think about the ripple effect
Yeah.
that one small change can have,
Yeah, absolutely.
Like eliminating sugar can be a gateway
Oh, interesting.
to other positive habits.
Uh,
You might start sleeping better. You might crave healthier foods.
mhm.
You might just have more energy in general.
I like that.
It sets off this positive chain reaction that impacts your overall well-being.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of a strong why,
Mm-hmm.
the power of repetition in forming habits.
Yes.
But there's another element Chetri emphasizes that I found really interesting.
Okay, what's that?
Sleep.
Ah, sleep.
He calls it a cornerstone of discipline.
I love his advice on that
What's he say?
because he keeps it so simple.
Yeah.
He doesn't suggest any like fancy sleep gadgets
Right.
or elaborate routines.
Just go to
He
bed.
literally just says, go to bed early.
That's good advice.
It is.
We all have control over that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No matter how busy life gets,
It's true.
we can all make the choice to prioritize sleep.
It's a simple act of self-care
It is.
that so many of us overlook.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Of course, even Chetri acknowledges that he struggles
Oh, really?
with this sometimes.
Mhm.
Especially, he talked about how in Indian culture,
Right.
there are often these late night gatherings
Yeah.
and celebrations,
Yeah.
and resisting that temptation to stay up late,
Yeah, it's tough.
can be really tough.
It's hard, but
But when you connect it back to your goals,
totally,
like
yeah.
Chetri does,
Yeah.
suddenly that early bedtime becomes much more appealing.
Much more appealing, absolutely.
If you know that getting enough sleep is going to give you that energy and focus that you need to, perform at your best.
You'll actually want to go to bed.
Exactly. You'll prioritize it.
Okay, now, Chetri also talks about this concept he calls the positive enforcement loop.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where things get really interesting.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
So what's so cool about this loop
Yeah.
is that it's based on both his personal experience
Okay.
and scientific research.
Right.
So he explains that
Okay.
even when you're feeling down
Yeah.
or unmotivated, like really unmotivated,
Yeah, been there.
pushing yourself to do something challenging,
Mm-hmm.
like, going for a run when you'd rather stay on the couch,
Oh, I know that feeling.
actually triggers this release of dopamine in your brain.
So it's like our brains reward us for effort,
Exactly.
even when it's hard.
Yes. And that dopamine release
Makes you feel good.
makes you feel good, and it encourages you to seek out more of those positive actions.
You want to do it more.
Exactly.
So it creates like an upward spiral
An upward spiral, yes.
of motivation.
It's amazing, right?
Wait, so just to be clear, when we push through that resistance and do that hard thing,
Yes.
we're actually training our brains to crave that
Yeah,
accomplishment.
You're craving that feeling of accomplishment.
Wow, that's so cool.
Isn't that amazing?
I know. That's like,
It's like a hack.
it's like a life hack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
And as you repeat those positive actions,
Mm-hmm.
those neural pathways,
Yeah.
they become stronger,
Mm.
making it so much easier to stay disciplined over time.
Oh, wow. Okay. I like that.
It's amazing.
It's like building that muscle, that discipline muscle.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
It's like working out your discipline.
I like that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So,
Maybe.
okay. So we've seen how, like, understanding your why,
Right.
building those solid habits and, prioritizing sleep,
Yes.
it can all really contribute to that self-discipline.
Yeah, totally.
But Chetri also has this idea that I found really surprising.
Mm-hmm.
It's his approach to good days versus bad days.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about this. So he actually says that you should be extra disciplined on your good days and then allow yourself some indulgences on your bad days.
I would think it'd be the opposite.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive.
You'd think like when you're feeling down,
Right.
you'd want to, reach for that comfort food or
Exactly.
stiff the workout.
Yeah, it definitely goes against like conventional wisdom.
Yeah, but Chetri's saying double down on the discipline when you're already feeling good.
Yeah, and to be fair, he admits that this is like a personal strategy.
Okay.
It might not work for everyone.
Right. It makes sense.
Self-awareness is key.
Yeah.
Understanding your own patterns.
Different needs and motivations.
Yeah, and your triggers can help you figure out what strategies will actually keep you on track.
Okay, so what does Chetri say about how this works for him?
Well, he mentions that his cheat meals
Hmm.
usually come after big victories.
Okay, interesting.
So it's less about like using food as a coping mechanism for stress or sadness and more about using it as a way to celebrate his achievements.
So it's like a reward system.
Yeah, personalized reward system.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about like following some rigid set of rules.
Oh, right.
It's about finding what motivates you and what aligns with your own personal goals.
That makes sense. Okay.
Now, Chetri also talks about the different
Yeah.
coping mechanisms that he observes in people,
Okay.
particularly athletes,
Okay.
and he kind of identifies these three common ones:
Uh-huh.
food and alcohol, phone, and social media and work.
I think we can all relate to at least one of those.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We all have those days,
Especially the phone.
right, where we just kind of turn to something familiar for comfort or distraction.
Yeah, that's me.
It's so easy to do. But
It is.
it's interesting how Chetri highlights that constant pressure to maintain discipline,
Right.
even when you're not formally working.
Yeah, and I think he had that anecdote
He did.
about getting those photos from other players.
Right. He gets photos of fellow players who are already training super hard
Off-season.
during the off-season.
Yeah.
So even when they're supposed to be relaxing and taking a break,
Yeah, it's like they never stop.
they're still pushing themselves, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that competitive drive never really switches off.
So I guess it speaks to that bigger point, right?
Yeah.
About discipline and goals.
Like discipline and achieving goals.
It's not
It's
just...
not something you just switch on and off.
Yeah, you just can't turn it on and on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a
Like it's
constant...
ongoing commitment.
Yes, it's an ongoing process.
It puts everything up, right.
A commitment to showing up consistently.
Consistent.
Even when there's like no external pressure.
Right, so even when there's not like a competition.
Exactly. It's that internal drive, you know,
Yeah.
to improve and to reach your full potential. Like that's where true discipline comes in.
And he also mentioned, I think, that he gets the...
Oh, yeah. He gets a preseason training schedule.
Yeah. Before the season.
Like before the official season even starts.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy.
So they're already preparing.
They're laying the groundwork,
Yeah.
preparing their bodies and minds
Yeah.
for the challenges ahead. So it really highlights how in these high performance environments, you know,
Yeah.
discipline is just this continuous commitment.
Always something else.
Yeah. There's always another goal.
Go for it.
A level to strive for.
Okay, so that's for like professional athletes, but how does that apply to like...
Well, I think it's a powerful takeaway for all of us.
Okay.
Whether you're an athlete or an artist or an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
you know, the pursuit of excellence, like
requires that dedication, yeah.
it requires that constant dedication, even when the external pressure isn't there.
Right, you're competing with yourself.
You're competing with yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
More than anyone else.
Yeah, it really is inspiring.
It is.
To see that level of dedication. Yeah.
But it makes me think about how important it is to find that balance, right?
Absolutely.
Between pushing yourself
Yes.
and giving yourself permission to like rest and recharge.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Like sustainable progress isn't about going full throttle all the time, you know?
Right.
It's about finding that pace.
Yeah, that you can maintain.
That you can actually maintain over the long haul.
Yeah.
For sure.
Before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to go back to that positive reinforcement loop
Yeah.
that Chetri talks about.
It's a good one.
I think it really resonated with me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it's something our listeners could really use.
Right.
So can you remind us how that works again?
Sure.
Yeah.
So remember how Chetri was talking about like pushing yourself to go for that run?
Yeah.
Even when you're feeling lazy?
Yeah.
So that's like a perfect example of this loop in action.
Okay.
He explains that even though it's tough to like get started, once you actually do it,
your brain releases dopamine, which makes you feel good.
Right. We know that.
And here's the key.
What's the key?
That dopamine hit, it not only like rewards you in the moment,
Okay.
but it also reinforces that positive action.
So it makes you want to do it again.
Making you more likely to repeat it in the future.
Oh, wow.
Right?
So by pushing through those initial feelings of resistance,
Exactly.
we're actually training our brains
You got it.
to crave that accomplishment.
Yes, to crave those moments of accomplishment, those little wins that ultimately build up to those bigger goals.
So it's all about building those positive habits.
It is.
Yeah.
Each time you engage in a positive action,
Okay.
especially when it requires effort,
Right.
you're strengthening that neural pathway.
Like building a muscle.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Making it easier to choose that action again next time.
It's like you're rewiring your brain
You are.
for success.
You're creating those positive feedback loops
Yeah.
that ultimately support your goals and aspirations.
Okay, so just to kind of summarize everything we've learned today from Chetri's insights, discipline, it's about keeping those promises to yourself.
Yes, even when it's tough.
Even when it's tough.
But finding your why,
Yeah.
you know, that powerful reason behind your efforts,
Makes all the difference.
that can make all the difference.
Yeah, for sure.
In staying motivated.
We also talked about how repetition is key.
Repetition, so important.
For turning actions into habits.
Yes, those actions that you want to become automatic.
Right, and even small changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Like cutting out the sugar.
Right, or going to bed a little earlier.
Yeah, little thing.
Can have such a ripple effect on your overall well-being.
We also learned about the positive reinforcement, how pushing through can actually create a positive cycle to make discipline more sustainable.
Over time, exactly.
And then finally, we talked about the importance of understanding your own needs.
individual needs.
And your own motivation.
Your motivations, yeah.
What works for someone else might not work for you.
Might not work for you, exactly.
Okay, well, this deep dive has been super inspiring for me.
Oh, me too.
I don't know about you.
I've learned so much.
Chetri's insights are so valuable.
They are?
For anyone who wants to, improve their self-discipline and create positive habits.
Absolutely.
That stick.
Totally agree. And, as we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder.
Okay.
Chetri's journey shows us that discipline, it's not about deprivation.
Yeah.
It's not about, being hard on yourself.
Right.
It's about making these conscious choices
that
really align with your values and what you truly want to achieve.
So what can our listeners do?
Yeah, so think about something that you've been putting off
Okay.
because it feels hard or intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Could applying Chetri's positive reinforcement loop help you to take that first step?
Good question.
What small action can you take today to move closer to your goals?
That's a great question to reflect on.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into self-discipline and habits.
It's been fun.
We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.
For another fascinating exploration. Until then,
Until then.
stay curious and keep learning.